It is playoff night for the first time for the Area Truck Series here in 2023. Race 1 of 5 kicking off tonight from Indianapolis Raceway Park, just a little while away from the Indianapolis downtown area and just a couple miles away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finney Nakuna tonight for our first of 5 playoff rounds. Finney in short track racing tonight. We go back road racing on Thursday with the Launch Box Series, but for tonight, we're going racing at IRP.
Yeah, I was going to say, made a little bit of a trip to the other side of town, away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to this short track. Some nice short track action, and Kyle, you and I both know that the trucks and short tracks put on a fantastic show.
They certainly do. We're heading down to the racetrack right now. Practice is underway at the moment here, and at the top of the board, it's Ryan Hartz. The drivers in blue are those in the Truck Series playoffs, and Hartz, Weishart, Beckner at the top of the board right now. We saw Scioli in particular have an issue in the Cup Series race last night and bailed out. So we know how quickly the playoffs can kind of fall apart for drivers that don't have everything together. And right now, Swan and Bell and Garrett Grant way down towards the bottom of the order, and that's already a red flag.
It's definitely a red flag, and I think they're going to be hoping for something better to come their way. Again, it's only practice. Obviously, it's the race style, the whole full race to look forward to, but definitely you want to have a little bit of pace around here because passing is going to be coming out. It's going to be very hard to try to make some passes happen around this track.
Here's a look at the points for tonight, the round of 12. Weishart, Hartz, and Beckner, just as they are here in practice, are at the top of the board on the standings, already under the cut line. Hurley, Grant, Swan, and Wineland all need some help tonight, and those 3 drivers, or 3 of those 4 drivers, are below the top 15 right now here in practice, Vinny, and so that's a big consideration heading into the night. You got to get into the top 8 to move on.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I'm curious to see how these guys are going to tackle this race. Are they going to try to be a little bit more aggressive, or maybe just slightly more conservative and just kind of hope that there's a high level of attrition with a lot of the front runners in the playoffs and the front runners of this race. Curious to see what's going to happen because, like we said, we've seen a lot of these races be very difficult to pass around here, and we also seen a lot of cautions around this track. And
Jacob Bell Racing still has 4 wins, which is double any other team right now. Sci-Fi Racing, 5 Wide Esports each have 2. IRLC Motorsports has 1 win, and of course you see the rest that are winless at this point, but still a good points battle throughout the top 10 there in the Truck Series team standings. Heading down to the racetrack again for the tail end of practice and catching up on some other drivers we have to keep our eye on. How about Brad Slaughter Jr. in that number 8 truck, right now running in 7th. He is currently the 5th fastest playoff driver on the track.
See what he can do here from 7th place. The driver was a little bit concerned about just because of the fact he has not gotten a win this season so far, and that's not the end all be all, but especially when you come down to the playoffs now, where we basically have 2 races per round. You're going to pretty much need to win a race, or if not, finish extremely well, very consistently. Otherwise, you face getting knocked out. And Slaughter is one of those guys where he's a little bit okay in the points. He's 5th out of 12, so not too bad. But again, like we mentioned with Scioli, you have a bad night tonight, you're on the back foot heading to next week.
Certainly, and a couple other drivers to take note. Kyle Sieg is here tonight running 8th in practice. This is a top-heavy racetrack when it comes to the racing line. You'll see lots of drivers fighting for that upper groove, and we saw this the last time we were here at IRP for some stock car stuff, Vinny, and it can get messy up there as drivers vie for that high momentum groove up top.
Yeah, and in fact, we ran here at IRP for the Launch Box Series, and 44% of the race was under caution, so it can get messy very quick. So we're not just dealing with the fact that it's hard to make a pass when it's green. When you constantly slow down the race, it can be very hard to just move up positions in general because you don't have enough of a run. So could see maybe some unorthodox pit strategy. Maybe guys just trying to take 2 tires just to get track position and then not have to take 4 up. Here's see what these guys kick up.
Here's Matthew Bell in the number 9 truck right now, 19th here in practice. He's trying to find some speed here. And this is one of those tracks that you mentioned the cautions during the Lodge Box race. This is one of those tracks that just requires you to be really aggressive. This is a short track that will reward you for making big moves on the restarts and getting to the front of the pack and then not having to deal with any sort of traffic. If you get stuck back in traffic here, Finney, and you're going to get caught up in a wreck, almost certainly that's just how this racetrack tends to race.
That one, Matthew Bell currently sitting in 19th back in the timesheet, so has a long way to go to try to make his way up. I'm curious to see if we do see any upsets in qualifying. when everyone kind of gets reset with the practice, with their times, see if anyone can surprise us in the order. Looking at Garrett Grant, only back down at 25th, and that's not from lack of trying. He's been out here. In fact, he's actually put the most amount of laps out of anybody in the session at 84 laps.
Yeah, this is just an example of a track really not clicking with the driver, and Garrett Grant is going to need some luck tonight and need some caution flags. The pace just does not seem to be here in the 46 team, so he'll be hoping and praying that some drivers and teams fall by the wayside here as we get into the race and get deeper into this event. We know the attrition level will be high, so you just can't find yourself in that position having to drive through the field. If you're going to be off the pace, you're going to just have to hope that you can pass when people get knocked out of the way.
In practicing some pit lane entry, again, I'll be genuinely surprised if we do see green flag pit stops. And nothing against this group of guys. I think we've yet to see out of the few races we covered here at IRP the green flag pit stops, because the races are a little shorter, and there just happens to be a caution somewhere at some point in the track.
So almost complete here with practice. We'll head into qualifying here shortly. This is race 13 of the season. And looking ahead to the rest of the schedule, we head to Las Vegas next week, and the last 4 races are the same as the Cup and Launchbox Series. Vegas, Auto Club, Richmond, and Nashville. And this is really the last true short track on the schedule. Richmond under a mile, yes, but it kind of has that speedway racing strategy that you'll see at Iowa. So then the other tracks are kind of big. Las Vegas, Auto Club, and Nashville, big 1.5 mile tracks essentially, or larger, which these trucks kind of turn into a plate track. So we'll see how that factors in. But tonight, for the guys that like short tracks, this might be one of their last real opportunities.
Oh, for sure. You'll see what they can do, especially the guys on the back foot coming into this race in the playoffs. If they are good at the short tracks, well, now's your time to shine, because next week heading on to Las Vegas, you might not have a chance to shine.
So practice is complete. We'll head down to qualifying here in just a moment. And fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Head to twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Now down to the racetrack for qualifying, and this is going to be an important one for track position tonight. There's Josh Taylor on the racetrack, Ryan Swan, Garrett Grant, and more taken to the road to put down their 2 laps.
This is going to be very quick qualifying. Do the short lap time, only 22 seconds. So we'll see what these guys got, if they got anything. See, they mentioned the 57 of Josh Taylor running around.
And the qualifying line is kind of right in this middle to high groove here. The race line is in a similar spot, but on restarts especially, you'll find drivers hunting the bottom to see if they can make that shorter lane work, but it's always a battle between the inside lane on the restart and those that can try to rip the outside. And how many times, Fane, have we seen drivers come together at the exit of turn 2 in a clash?
Oh, there's so many times, because everyone, obviously there's a lot of real estate to work with on the track itself. You can probably theoretically fit 4, maybe even 5 trucks if you really wanted to in the middle of the corner, but everyone comes flying out of the corner up against that wall, and especially on a late race restart, guys are not going to be willing to give any track real estate or position whatsoever. We see Weishart come across the line, currently holding on to first. I think tapped the wall coming out of turn 4. I don't think that second lap is going to count. It was slower anyway.
He will stay at the top of the board for now. Brad Slaughter Jr. runs in second. Bobby Tinch is on track. Matthew Bell, Colin Fambro. A couple drivers have kind of bailed out of some of their qualifying runs. Here's Fambro rolling up to speed, and Bobby Tinch, he's through 3 and 4 at the tail end of his first flying lap.
Yeah, actually, Tinch, speaking of him, I was riding on board and I ended up spinning out of the corner, just got a little bit loose, and I've been noticing quite a few guys have been throwing the truck into the corner, and it's been upsettling the rear, and they've been kind of looping it around, so that's maybe something to keep an eye on for the race. See him onto the back straightaway now into turn 3.
Jordan Martin up to 3rd place. Good qualifying effort there. Justin Anasogak, another playoff competitor that needs a good run, and his lap 1 is already being worked on here up onto the back straightaway. Brad Slaughter Jr. up to 2nd place. And now Jordan Martin goes to 2nd, gets up onto the front row, a non-playoff competitor. And a Sogak across the line at 22.344 puts him inside the top 5 for now.
Solid job there, Colin Fambro. Talked about a driver that ended up missing the playoffs after some unfortunate luck and is not able to string some good finishes together. Just completed his run and actually didn't count any of the laps because he tagged the wall. Now looking at Ryan Hartz in the number 3.
Ryan Hartz out of turn 4, lap 1. That is a 22.215. That will put him to the top of the board. Just like that. Provisional pole for the number 3. Matthew Bell on track now, getting set for his first flying lap.
So I was waiting for the number 9 to get out on track. Struggled a bit in the Cup Series, but managed to get himself in the playoffs there. He's been a little bit better in the truck side of things, so expect to see some pace out of this time machine.
Kyle Sieg up to 7th. Laith Hicks up to 13th place. Bobby Tinch lays down 14th fastest on his second lap around, 22.964. And here comes Matthew Bell. Lap 1 has been the flying one, although Hartz did improve on his second lap. Bell does a 22.468. That puts him P9. Kyle Sieg up to second place in the 39 Night Owl Ford F-150, one of only 3 in the field tonight.
And only 14 thousandths of a second off of pole, so he could have taken pole if he just pushed only a little bit harder, arguably, but really solid lap from the 39 machine of Sieg. We'll see what he can do in the race. Looking at Matthew Bell, comes across the line, completes his effort, only up 1 spot into P6. More drivers jumping out on the track. Travis Beckner, Jeff Ryan, Eric Wineland now all attempting laps.
Eric Wineland could use a good night here in the points, so he could certainly benefit from a solid qualifying effort. And warming up the truck here, getting set for his 2 laps. Just 5 minutes remain here in qualifying for our 13th round of the Area Truck Series. Kyle Heyer joined by Finian DeCuna, Garrett Grant. 2 laps in, no laps for Garrett. He will start tail of the field, and it is just continuing a bad streak tonight for that number 46.
Yeah, not good in practice, not good in qualifying. I think he's going to hope for the best in the race. Travis Beckner across the line in the 28 machine completes his 2 laps. He'll be only up to 3rd from 7th place. So we'll see Jeff Ryan now. I'm sure he's glad he doesn't have to make right turns. He had a miserable night last night at IMS Road, and he comes across the line in 11th. So decent qualifying effort for the 37.
Eric Wineland only 16th quick on his first lap. We'll see what lap 2 holds for the driver in the number 21 Ford.
Yeah, and Eric was talking to me last night after the broadcast, a little bit nervous coming to tonight, being dead last in the playoffs compared to his competitors. Going to be hoping for a good night, up to 9th in qualifying. Not too bad.
That's salvageable. I think he can start pretty well in the top 10 here. Bryce Senesek. The problem is there's still some fast trucks that have yet to put down some times. Bryce Senesek is one of them. Carter Koop the other. Jacob Bell, Jordan Hurley, who's a playoff driver. And here comes Senesek getting warmed up. Here's his first flying lap.
Another driver trying to make the playoffs, couldn't quite get in, running up against the wall, a little bit higher than what I've seen some other drivers do, on entry at least.
Into 3 and 4. Kind of enter mid-track there, got up high in the center, and mid-track on exit across the line for Senesek, lap 1. That is going to be a 22.444, puts him up into 12th, and that will end that qualifying run.
Yeah, 12th is not too terrible for him. He'll be starting midfield.
Cody Cutrer on the racetrack now for 5 Wide Sports. A couple of their cars still yet to go, or trucks I should say. Jordan Hurley also has yet to make a qualifying attempt. Pretty quick laps here, 22 seconds ago, so you don't need a ton of time left on the clock to get down a qualifying attempt.
Cody Cutter, winner at Michigan a couple weeks ago. Wasn't able to qualify for the playoffs, was down in the top 20, so couldn't secure that win in your in berth. But out here on the track, let's see if he's got any short track prowess coming his way as he's halfway through his lap.
Up out of turn number 4 on the first time around for the 25 of Cutrer, and a 22.427. That will put him inside the top 15, up to 11th. Will he improve on lap number 2?
Very, very well could if he's got any more. Pace it in that 25, going to come down a little bit low, slide up towards the wall, awfully close in 3 and 4. Did he kill a lot of momentum? Oh, it's not going to matter. He spins out of turn 4. Bit surprised he spin on the exit. I've been noticing a lot of guys spinning on the entry in the middle of the corner. That's going to end a qualifying attempt for the 25. Now, I was going to say, I'm surprised Jordan Hurley hasn't gone out on a track yet. He's been awfully quiet in the 5 machine.
He is another playoff competitor in the number 5. You mentioned his win. And here he is up to the high side of the racetrack in 1 and 2 on his first qualifying lap. Down the backstretch now. Everyone has 20 of our 27 competitors, 26 competitors have made a qualifying effort. 23 have made efforts, only 20 have times. Hurley up to 11th on lap 1.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back at Hurley's history, but looking back this season, haven't gone to a whole lot of actual short tracks. The only other short track that we really would have gone to would have been Bristol, but we were at Bristol Dirt, so you can't really include it in that fact. So we don't really have a whole lot of historical data for Hurley on how he's going to do at a short track, but here from 11th to 4th.
Good pickup there on lap 2 for Hurley. He will start inside the top 5, and that is going to conclude qualifying, I think, in terms of a driver perspective. Jacob Bell, Carter Coop in particular, is not going to make a run at this here in qualifying, so he will start from the tail of the field with A.J. Roderick.
I was going to say, I'm looking through the list here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not see a Cameron Hearn.
No Cameron Hearn, you're right. He is a playoff competitor, Finian, and that is a concern. If he can't make it tonight, he will be essentially in a must-win scenario come next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was going to say the reason I thought of that, because I was looking at Hurley qualifying, I was like, oh, he's up in 4th. I wonder is his best buddy Cameron Hearn, because we know they had quite a bit of a history in this series. But yeah, then they saw that he was nowhere to be found.
And so Scioli also is not here. He's running the college series tonight. Another playoff competitor that is missing. So Scioli had a little bit more of a buffer than Hearn, up 12 points on the 67. So both of those drivers had a couple points to burn, but Hearn was only 5 points above the cut line. For example, if David Weishart had missed tonight, he would still be in the green heading into next week with the point advantage he has built. But Scioli and Hearn both in trouble. They will likely be below the cut line depending on where everyone else finishes this one out. So that'll be something to keep our eye on.
I was going to say, for Scioli, I really hope for his sake that Las Vegas is a good track to him, because he's looking at being on the outside looking in both the Cup and the Truck Series, which is definitely not the thing you want to be looking at, especially when you only have one race to make sure you get yourself in and have a very high possibility of not making it.
So before we get rolling tonight, we've got, of course, our starting grid partner. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. Just waiting for the race kickoff here in just a moment. Here's another look at the point standings that have been on your screen. Weishart, Hartz, Beckner, Scioli, in Brad Slaughter, your top 5. Keep an eye on that number 8 truck tonight, especially Finian. He's kind of right down the middle of the field here in terms of his performance heading into this race, and we'll see where he pops out at the end of it all. But I think Brad Slaughter's got a good shot at this. The Matthew Bell at short tracks in particular, I like that number 9. We'll see where he ends up after our race this evening.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely can't count out the number 8 of Brad Slaughter, because we know he's not afraid to be a driver to send it, to lick the stamp and send it, and this is the exact place where you do need to lick the stamp and send it, so I expect to see him making some solid forward progress soon.
All right, so the warm-up period here is complete, and in just a second we're heading down to the racetrack. We'll bring you your 26 truck starting lineup here for our 13th race of the season, 150 laps here. If it were to go green from start to finish, this race would be 55 minutes. We know it will not do that, Finian, so it'll be a little bit longer. Let's head down to the racetrack and kick things off with our starting lineup. And let's on down there and kick things off with Ryan Hartz in the number 3. He'll start on the front row alongside Kyle Sieg in the number 39.
Just want to give a quick shout out to Lathix, who's just blasting Irish bagpipes through the mic as they were recruiting. Thought that was funny. Anyway, moving on back to row 2. Travis Beckner is in the 28 machine, and with the fellow playoff competitor, Jordan Hurley in the 5, next to him in 4th.
In 5th place, it'll be David Weishart in the number 33. Jordan Martin rolls off 6th in the number 11.
Back in 7th place, it's going to be Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 8 machine. Next to him, the number 9 machine, Matthew Bell in 8th place.
Starting in 9th, it'll be Rafe Slate, the number 08. Eric Wineland, playoff competitor, needs a good night. He will start in 10th.
Back in 11th, it's going to be Justin Anasogak in the 88 machine. Next to him, Cody Carter is going to be lined up in the 25 in 12th place.
13th place, row 7, Tyler Hallman's number 42. Bryce Senesax, 09, rolls off alongside him in that green and black car truck, 14th place.
Back in row number 8, it's going to be 37 of Jeff Ryan in 15th. Next to him, Josh Taylor is going to be lined up in the 57 in 16th.
17th place is Ryan Swans, number 19. Jeff Noe starts alongside him at 18th in the number 55.
Rounding out your top 20, it's going to be Danny Ware in the 00 in 19th. Next to him, Leif Hicks in the 53 in 20th.
21st place, Bobby Tinch is number 66, and Garrett Grant in the number 46 has a long way to move up tonight. Been a struggle for him all night evening. He starts in 23rd.
Back at 24, it's going to be Colin Fambro in the 18 machine. Jacob Bell's not going to be racing as he's got admin duties. And then moving to your last row, it's going to be AJ Roderick in the 56 in 26th. And then Carter Coop lined up in 27th.
Field is gridded, and we're just waiting to roll here behind the pace truck for 2 laps. 150 laps worth of racing tonight. Here's a quick look at our race analysis. 150 laps is the distance. That is about 100 miles worth of distance. 26 drivers, just about 1,000 feet of elevation here for this evening. Trucks roll off here and kick off their warming up period. Picks for tonight, Finney, and I got that number 8. He starts 7th. Who you got?
Who do I go? That's going to be a tough question. I really like that pick. I'm going to go with Jordan Hurley. I think he's going to have what it takes to get it done. Again, he's another driver we've seen can be aggressive when he needs to, and I think that aggression is definitely going to help at a place like this.
And like I said earlier, keep an eye on Matthew Bella, just like row 4 in general. This 9 and the 8 to his inside, I think are going to be the ones to watch all evening long. There's the 8, the Lumar truck, the Logitech truck to the outside. 1 to green here, 150 laps to kick off our playoff sequence. Tonight we don't eliminate. It's next week at Las Vegas where we're going to kick off 4 of our 12 and then head into the round of 8, the next round of the playoffs. Thursday night, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we may not be eliminating people tonight, but we very much could see people being eliminated from the results of tonight.
Yes, we will likely see that. Keep an eye on the Lodgebox Series on Thursday night as well. We will go road racing at the Indianapolis Road Course like we did last night on Thursday. Hart's in command. Kyle Siegdu is outside. Time to go racing from the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Short track racing. While the Cup Series and Lodgebox Series go left and right, we're doing 150 laps of old-fashioned short track Tuesday night racing. Green flag, we're racing in the Area Truck Series playoffs. Kyle Sieg up in the wall in turn 3, pushing a little too hard. Hurley saw the gap in the middle, but Sieg slammed the door shut. Sieg now holds on to second after scraping the fence. Trouble the backdrop, and a couple cars, trucks scattering. Leif Hicks gathers it up, now loops it slowly down the front straightaway. We stay green.
It's a very lazy spin and a caution out in turn 1. Not sure what happened at the end of it. Ooh, and off turn 2 as well. 11 to Jordan Martin around.
Yeah, Jordan Martin was the one that I saw turned around sideways. Caution here on lap number 2. Oh, man, guys, come on. Leif piling in there at the tail end. Let us have a look.
I think the genesis of that was with the 37 of Jeff Ryan that initially brought the caution out. To see him have a slow, lazy spin in the background there, and then this was after the separate incident, actually.
Yeah, ooh, that was a big stack up there. Brad Slaughter Jr., I think that was the 25 that got caught up in that as well. Cody Cutler and Bryce Senesac got kind of packed up together. Then you mentioned the 37 had his own issue. He just kind of spun on his own.
Actually, maybe the 11 was the actual.
I think he was.
Yeah. Thought it happened later, but it happened pretty much right as the 37 spun out. But yeah, unfortunate for Jordan Martin. I mean, here's the thing: at a place like this, you really don't need the truck in the tip-top shape. You can get around with it, beating because you don't need a whole lot of horsepower. Straightaways are short. You do need the handling to be somewhat intact, though, so you can deal with a little bit of engine damage.
You don't want it, but you can get through the night with it. It's certainly not going to.
It's better than Talladega.
It is definitely better than Talladega, although at Talladega, generally, if you crash hard enough, you'll be just glad you can get out of your virtual race car and go touch some grass.
I was sure you're going with that for a second. I was concerned there.
Yeah, maybe you should have been. Working lap number 5 here of 150. Slow progress to start the night here just with that incident in lap number 2. But a long, long way to go. Brian Hartz leads the opening laps. Kyle Sieg was sending it there in the opening moments, and the EOL for the caution goes to the number 11. think they think the 11 pulled down the racetrack finish instead of the 8 coming up. So the incident is on the 11.
Yeah, interesting seeing Martin still sitting in the pits. I didn't think he needed that many repairs.
He got hit pretty hard a couple of times, so I think there might be more than what we're seeing.
So he's sitting there getting it all fixed up. So fortunate for him, he's going to be not only a lap down, I mean, he's getting to the DOL, which it's probably the least of his worries at the moment. And yeah, but no, talking about Kyle Sieg, we were talking about having to send it or needing to send it tonight. Arguably sent it a little bit too much into turn 3. Got a piece of the wall. Had a great recovery. Didn't really lose any position, but definitely lost that outside to the 3 of Ryan Hart's, which is, I would say, pretty critical here. I think you're definitely going to want to get that outside to run off the corner for some of these guys if you can't make the dive move into turn 1 or 3.
My analysis of that was I liked the aggression, and here's why. Because if you can get to the lead and control the restarts, you're going to control this race. I think that's the reality of it. So Kyle Sieg throwing it down there into turn 3. I don't think he meant to get into the wall, but the aggression to get the lead and have command over this event, there was something to be said about having some aggression there. So give him credit where credit is due. And we should be going 1 to green this time by, so the lights will extinguish on top of the pace truck. There they go. And the 3 gets to choose his lane. He chooses the bottom. I don't think for the leader it changes all that much.
No.
He's doing Kyle Sieg a favor, though.
I was going to say, when I was seeing these guys form up, really wish we had a choose cone in iRacing. I'm hoping that is coming soon. I heard rumors that it's in development.
One of the best rules that NASCAR has made, in my opinion, in recent years.
That would be really cool to have at a track like this, which is so dominant on the top side, to see what these guys can do. But we'll see what they're going to do here on the restart.
Lap 7 of 150. This will be lap number 8. Hartz is in command, coming back to the green flag in the Area Truck Series playoffs. And back underway from IRP. Wow, look at the 57 way up top. Trying to make some ground up there early. 28 of Beckner to the inside of Sieg down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Beckner now making a move to the inside lane. Sieg in the wall again and off of turn 3. Gonna peel in behind. He will actually lose the position this time as Beckner will take over second place.
With David Weishart and Jordan Hurley battling door to door, and Matthew Bell up a couple of spots from 9th up to 6th.
Oh, and also, sorry, a critical word, Ryan Hart's. Oh, never mind. Okay, I heard that he got a penalty on the restart for potentially jumping the restart zone. Looks like it got cleared by the admins, though.
Yeah, they're still fighting some issues with that in iRacing, so he'll get away with that one for now. There's the 5 of Hurley, and now Matthew Bell muscles his way by into the 5th spot. That 9 truck is going the right direction here early, I'll tell you that. Though he's going to have to fight off the 5 a little bit more aggressively.
And again, talk about aggression. Hurley knows how to be aggressive. He's going to work that outside of Matthew Bell, but Bell is still not giving up at the moment. Ooh, almost clips the 5 on the quarter panel. Is going to just keep off of him. They're going to go back single file.
Look at Eric Wineland as well in the number 21, trying to make up some ground. He's got Hallman to the inside, the A truck just north of him. And Wineland started 10th. He's up 2 spots early, just picking him off one by one here in the opening stages, getting that track position, and more importantly, where he's running in relation to the other playoff competitors, though he still has some work to do there.
And the 19 Ryan Swan now working to the outside of Hallman. Hallman is going to end up losing that spot. Swan is going to be moving up a spot. I'm also just a little bit distracted at the moment because there's still debate about whether or not Hart should have had that penalty cleared for jumping the restart. So again, something to keep an eye on. And looking at the replay, it looked like he might have actually, in my opinion, it looked like he did jump just a split second too early before getting to the restart zone.
Well, definitely a wake-up call to not do that again, because if it's that under the microscope, any advantage you're going to get there is going to get criticized later. So you have to be cautious not to overstep those bounds if you get away with it once. They're not going to reverse their decision, most likely.
Oh, they did.
Oh,
They actually just gave him the black flag.
Well, upon further review, I guess. That's a first.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a first, and in my opinion, I think that is fair, because when I was looking at it, he jumped just a split second too early. It's one of those things where, you know, you can't really give him a leeway because there is painted lines on the track for the restart, so you see him just passing them right there, and it was just a little bit too early, so he's going to have to come down the pit lane.
I'm just surprised that they would reverse the decision once it's made. And that, I mean, I guess Maybe they made the first decision without really going back and looking at it, in which case,
there he goes.
Here he goes down to pit lane. So that's big news for Ryan Hartz. What's going to help him is that 2 other playoff competitors are not here. Yes, blacks are cleared to buy time there, so that explains that. But I think the correct decision was made here, but Hartz will hit pit lane. And again, long night. He'll lose a lap here maybe. But it's not going to be the end of the night, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Again, with the amount of cautions we do anticipate around here, you should expect him to get back on the lead lap very quickly, and actually will not lose a lap. He'll be close,
wow.
But will not lose a lap.
Yeah, good thing it was just a drive-through and not a stop-and-go or something of the sort. Here's Matthew Bell continuing his forward climb. He wasn't able to quite eclipse the 5 earlier, but he continues to keep pressure on that 5-wide Sports Chevrolet in front of him. And let me tell you, this 9, he was my second pick to win this race, and he's outperforming my first pick by 1 position. He's right back there in 6th.
I was going to say, and speaking of Slaughter, putting pressure on the number 9 truck, all 3 of them nose to tail. You can see in the shot, heading off into turn 1. Slaughter looking an inch to the outside lane, getting awfully close to that outside wall.
Beckner leads Sieg second, Weishart, and it's Hurley, Bell, Slaughter, 1, 2, 3. Or I guess 4, 5, 6. And now we could get into a pretty long green flag run here, Finney, with the field spread out like this in a fairly small field for Area Truck Series standards. We could get some green flag laps in. This will be fun to watch this line move around a little bit, because right now everyone's kind of stuck to the middle of the track, but we might see the bottom open up, might see the top open up a bit more once drivers have a bit more rubber on the racetrack to play with.
I was going to say, we did lose quite a few competitors early on. Leith Hicks, Anna Sogat, Cody Cutter, Jordan E. Martin, and Rafe Slade have all retired in this race so far. There's only 20 guys running on the track, all of which are on the lead lap, and as you mentioned, everyone getting spread out a little bit. So yeah, we might actually see a green flag run at the moment, especially considering most people are single file. As I say that though, pass for position, I believe that is no on Senizak making a move.
Yeah, Senizak got some big time damage. Bobby Tinch and Jeff Ryan having to fight for 16th place. And behind Ryan Swan, it's getting a little bit busy as well. There's Swan holding up a train, the 42, the 57, Allman, Taylor, Danny Ware, Grant, and more. By the way, Garrett Grant up to 12th, racing a lot better than his lap times in practice and qualifying would have suggested.
I was going to say, well, it may seem like he just doesn't have the pace to put out a hot lap, but, that's not really what you need in a race. You have solid long-term pace and the ability to make some moves and passes, and so far, looking pretty good for Garrett Grant up into 12th place, so trying to dig himself out of a hole. Came in 10th in the points. That's below the cutoff line at the moment. Looks like he might gain a few spots on his competitors, especially because a lot of people are struggling at the moment.
Yeah, so far, so good for Garrett Grant moving forward. And up front, Beckner leads by 1.6 seconds, so then it's only 0.2 back from Kyle Sieg to David Weishart, who's heating up the back of the 39 right now.
Yeah, Weishart's been closing in, Sieg starting to lose some of that pace. I was curious to see what the 39 have. Could he put in a fantastic lap? Just cuts the nose off the 33 of Weishart off of turn 4. He's struggling to defend now.
Sieg middle of the road, Weishart up a half a lane from him, and just behind them, Hurley and Bell continue their little scrum. And then even behind them, how about the 00 and the 57? Danny Ware trying to open up that outside groove, trying to stick the nose in there. One truck in the wall, the background, that was 52 of Carter Coop.
Yeah, that's the thing when you're trying to make a move to the inside, like the 57 of Taylor. You open up that top lane to your competitors if you don't get a good run off, and he gets a poor run off of turn 4. Now Ware trying to stick his nose, see if he can follow Holman on through. And Jordan Martin actually just come out of the pits in front of these guys.
Oh, tight out of turn 2. The 57 of Taylor trying to make that bottom groove work. And he was being hunted. Now he's the hunter to the bottom of the 42, trying to overcome Tyler Holman, and he might get there if he can just wrestle him back one more corner. Pass on the bottom. We haven't seen that yet tonight. He gets it done.
Yeah, see, that's the exact move you need to make. You need to dive off into the corner. Ooh, he needed to come off on exit to try to squeeze 42 out of line. He'll do so on exit and secure that spot. Also, Weishart and Sieg exchanging positions up at the top of the order. Sieg surrendering second place to the 33.
Go back and see how that one was facilitated. This is off into turn 3 and 4. Watch the 39 here.
We're going to go back further.
Oh, yep, you're correct. There's a look, wrong lap. Got up into the wall almost, and let the 33 just kind of cruise on by on the bottom. So give Weishart second place. Now Hurley going by on the outside on the 39.
Yeah, Sieg really struggling here. He was trying to keep it to the bottom lane. Hurley took advantage, went to the top, able to get to the outside. We talked about the outside being very important to monitor and try to go for. You see now Matthew Bell trying to squeeze his Toyota Tundra to the outside. And it looks like he will get that spot on the exit here. So Sieg now starting to struggle. I think might have burned up his stuff a little too early.
I bet with how much drivers send off into these corners, Finian, you can push way too hard on the sidewall. The tires slip and slide the rear a lot.
I was going to say either that or the fact that he's made a few excursions into the outside wall. I think it dinged up his truck a little bit. Looking at Garrett Grant now under attack from the 18 Colin Fanrell, the 56, not Bobby Titch, Adrian Roderick trying to make a move to the inside.
Yeah, so Garrett Grant's forward progress has stalled now as the 18 is looking to the bottom. Now that inside lane is opening up as a passing zone. We did not see this at all when the Lodgebox Series was here. It was a fight for that outside lane. Tonight, though, pass is happening on the bottom of the racetrack, or at least lower than that middle groove.
Yeah, you can definitely make the pass happen, but you have to be absolutely committed to making it happen. You can't just kind of half-heartedly make a dive. You need to make that dive and hope it sticks. Whoa, Danny Ware loose off into turn one, saves it for a second.
On board with Colin Fambro, who's following the 00, but he had a big moment you saw at the top of the screen. Fambro up a whole bunch of spots as well, 13 from where he started.
Tyler Hallman starting to struggle, has been losing quite a few positions in the last few laps. Has dropped back from around 9th, all the way back to 14th. It's not been a good night so far.
Out front, Travis Beckner continues to lead. Still, was gaining ground on David Weishart. Weishart is taking a couple tenths a lap out of that advantage. That time by 2 tenths quicker. 2.2 seconds is the differential. Then it's about 1.1 back to Hurley. And Kyle Sieg is now back to 7th on this run.
Yeah, he's really starting to struggle. I think he's going to hope to get to the pits. Makes a dive back on the 21. A counterattack not successful as Wineland's moved up to 6th place now. Really solid run for the 21, up 4 spots from 10th.
This is the night that Eric Wineland needed. Here's a quick look at the points coming into the night once more. Wineland at the very bottom of the playoff field and in danger of being eliminated. Down 5 from the cut line, and he's now running 6th.
Garrett Grant just made some decent contact with the wall. Sorry to cut you off there.
Oh yeah, you can see the damage on the side of that truck. Here's what happened.
Turn number 2 strikes again.
Yeah, common corner to hit the wall here. I don't know what it is about the way the corner unwinds. It just kind of invites you to that upper groove. Well, we're kind of in a nice rhythm now at this stage.
Yeah, we'll see if that affects the 46, because it definitely can, or he might have gotten lucky and be a little bit slower, but not going to completely ruin his pace. As you mentioned, though, everyone's starting to get mostly into a rhythm. Colin Fambro trying to make a move on Danny Ware. Chucks it to the inside. Can't quite clear the 00. He tries to fight back, but still can't make that outside work. So the outside, I would say, arguably is the more preferred place to make a pass, but it's not the end-all, be-all, like you mentioned, what we saw in the Lodgebox Series.
Certainly not. Danny Ware's got a lot of nose damage, though, too, so I think that damage could be hurting his performance and letting him drop back through the field. But he was actually in the wall when the 18 truck got by him. Ryan Swan also in the 19. There he is. Started 17th. He's up to 9th. Now he'll be defending from this 18 truck, but he's also had a pretty net positive race so far.
Yeah, just wanted back to check where Danny Ware got that damage. So it was actually remember when we talked about him sideways off in the corner, he ended up rear-ending, I believe, back at Ryan Swan. Heading off into the corner. I was actually surprised. I didn't think that would have given him any damage, but that did. So that's where that came from. As I mentioned, everyone, though, in behind. Ryan Swan kind of holding up traffic as he's got about 2 seconds to the car next to him. Here comes Fambro trying to clear the 19. Goes down deep in 3 and 4.
It's strange that the 00 got so much damage on the nose because Swan's rear bumper looks generally fine. And here comes Danny now to the inside again. But typically the damage is pretty bi-directional, but that seems like the 00 definitely got the worst end of that stick. Good battles here just outside the top 10, well really 4 tenths. Swan, Ware, Roderick, and now Garrett Grant, who's trying to recover from that impact with the wall out of 2 he had a couple laps ago. Already, we're down to about 110 laps to go, which means that we are about 42 minutes away from this race being over. That's how quick things are going here at IRP when the race is flowing under green.
And also, a few laps ago, Eric Wiley made a pass from Brad Sauter Jr. So this Pokemon, he's got something in that truck. I don't know what he's got figured out. I remember him saying particularly that he was good at IRP before, but he's got this truck hooked up right now, and he's starting to break away from the number 8. You see him expanding the distance.
He just really needs to finish ahead of at least 4 playoff drivers and just get himself out of the immediate danger zone when it comes to the playoff round of 8, which will be decided next week at Las Vegas. So if he can just finish ahead of 4, 5, or even 6 of those playoff competitors like he is right now, he'll be in great shape. A top 10, top 5, even better, and he'll put himself in a much better spot heading into Las Vegas, where at least he's not in a must-win situation.
Yeah, I think he's also one of those drivers out there. I'm sure there's quite a few of them that just want this race to continue green, because they've got some decent runs going. Truck's not damaged. They are feeling, starting to get themselves in a rhythm where they can start to make some moves and progress further up the grid. I see Danny Ware still struggling now, trying to get past the 19 Orion Swan. Shoulder to the inside on exit and makes the move off of turn 2.
Orion Swan drops to 12th. Swan 12th. Danny Ware up to 11th. And we're working lap number 44 now of 150.
Brad Slaughter. One driver.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say one driver that definitely hates this green flag run is number 3, Ryan Hart's, all the way back in 18th. I'm sure he was hoping there would be a quick caution to kind of get the order, put back together and can start to make some progress, but he is still back at 18th.
Yeah, what he doesn't want is to go a lap down, because once we get into lap traffic and he gets buried, it will take multiple caution flags. And with only 20 trucks remaining on the racetrack, I don't know how many more cautions we'll get tonight. So you don't want to get yourself stuck in that scenario where you're counting on yellows that you may not get.
Looking at Taylor now, another driver seems to have been hiding some pace from 16th up 9 spots to 7th. If he can get one, maybe plus 10 if he can get past Brad Slaughter. So it looks like Slaughter's just trying to fall off a cliff here. He's had some short run pace, doesn't seem to quite have the long run pace here.
Yeah, and he's got some right side damage as well. Who knows how much that's impacting him, but certainly enough. Kyle Sieg in the background, Colin Fambro having their own little scrap for 8th place. As here comes the 57 to the inside of the 8, and behind them, the 18 gets by the 39. Crossover there by Kyle, but I don't think he's going to have the run.
Yeah, I think Sieg's definitely one of those guys who wants a caution. As we see Taylor make a dive to the inside of Slaughter. Should be textbook move, going to clear off the corner. And Taylor up now to 6, a little bit loose off the corner, will still hang on to it. That's another thing I was a bit surprised. I saw some guys in practice get pretty loose. Like I mentioned, the entry of the corners, but it seems like a lot of the guys just manage to sort themselves out, I guess because they don't have to push that hard. Manage to get the handling under control.
Ooh, the 8 truck in the wall in 3 and 4. It's this track, while it looks pretty symmetrical, 3 and 4, you always see people kind of riding the wall. 1 and 2, you don't really see that as much. You see them hitting the wall on exit, but you almost never see people hitting the exit wall at turn 4. So it's just one of those symmetrical tracks that probably doesn't really drive that way, and you end up hitting the wall in very different areas on either end of the track.
How was this track built?
I don't know, probably a while ago. It's probably one of those places that was like a horse track first. That's not a fact, but that's my guess.
No, I was gonna say, well, I think it's like old enough before, CFD and everything
definitely
came
before
into play.
that, yeah.
So that's why you usually at the tracks before that stuff was implemented. It's why they're just, they're technically symmetrical, but they don't drive, like you mentioned, they don't drive symmetrical because they're just small, minute differences in the way the corner is. It's not completely identical on either side, so as you get some slightly different handling characteristics. You look at Danny Ware now trying to make a move on Kyle Sieg, who's just about to drop outside the top 10 after starting in 2nd.
Yeah, 56 of AJ Roderick got in the wall last time around. Ware sneaks up to the outside at a 2, has to lift, but so did Sieg. And off into turn 3, they're going to head as a dead heat. The 00 will complete that pass and move around the 39.
One guy I definitely want to keep an eye on, Jordan Hurley. My pick to win this race, doing a lot better than your pick at the moment.
Okay, well, I've also picked Matthew Bell. So hold your horses.
You pick 2 people.
Well, I gave you could have done the same. I didn't say you had to only pick 1.
Well, the reason I was saying to keep an eye on Jordan Hurley, he's been consistently making up a 10th of a lap on David Weishart last 10 circuits. So he's been catching closer and closer to 2nd place. Well, but we always say, though, catching's one thing, passing's another. See if Hurley's got anything in the tank that he can try to pull on David Weishart to make a move.
Weishart, little snap there on corner exit at turn 4. And I'll tell you, that 5 truck is looking pretty solid at this stage of the race. And in behind, some more battles continuing behind Colin Fambro.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Colin Fambro, just got past Brad Slaughter Jr. 1 lap ago.
Out front, it's still Travis Beckner. He's led the vast majority of laps in this race now that Ryan Hartz has been shuffled out of the fray. And speaking of Ryan Hartz, you touched on him a couple laps ago. Down to 17th place, or I should say up to 17th place. He's kind of recovered a couple spots since then, and he's moving forward in positions. But he's only about a second away from being put a lap down with a whole bunch of other trucks that are getting put a lap down. And this is what I was talking about, Finian. You don't want to get stuck in this scenario where you're counting on yellows to get you your laps back.
Yeah, I think he's going to, if anything, if he does get passed by Travis Beckner, he's going to have to stay right on the 28's tail to make sure that as many guys as Beckner puts down, that Hartz can remain the first truck a lap down in case a caution does come out, which he's looking less and less likely as this run goes on. And Hartz now, actually, it's been a while since Hartz been able to overtake trucks, and now he's finally caught people who are really burnt up their stuff through their run. But as you mentioned, Beckner closing in very quickly to the back of him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any doubt that Hartz is going to be able to pass some traffic, but at the rate at which Beckner is getting by lap traffic, who knows how long Beckner, the 3 will be able to keep up with him. Beckner kind of shuffles the 37 out of the way here. Now sets his sights on Hartz, trying to keep him down. Remember that the penalty was a drive-through for jumping the restart. And it's about to come to a head here as the race leader gets to him.
Who would have thought that it would have been such a costly mistake at a track like this? Because I didn't think it would be that costly. I figured, we'll get a caution within 20, 30 laps. But we've been clean and green ever since lap 7. So it's not gone the way that Ryan Hartz would have liked it to, as his teammates now about to put him a lap down.
And pedaling the throttle, fighting some understeer there. He's going to let the 28 go. But he's got a mission to do. He's first driver 1 lap down right now. As for second place, Jordan Hurley just got by David Weishart. Let's see how that happened.
Yeah, I was going to say there's an accident off of turn 4, and it's right there. Weishart clipped the 37.
Oh, man.
And Ryan had a nasty hit to the inside wall. No caution because he didn't spin out. Well, you could argue that he probably technically did spin out here.
Yeah, he wasn't really doing anything wrong there either. He didn't it wasn't like he came off the wall, so kind of a victim of that scenario. And that might put Jeff Ryan out of this race. That's going to be some steering damage, I'm sure.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. That was a nasty hit to the inside wall there.
And it's all concrete here, too. Well, there's some safer, but it'll hurt.
Only in the corners. Only in the corners. So that has allowed Jordan Hurley to move up 1 spot. Now set his sights on Travis Beckner. Here to see if Hurley's got the pace to catch up to Beckner. 3 lap cars, including Ryan Hartz, separating the 2.
It's A.J. Roderick following the 8 truck of Brad Slaughter Jr. This is a battle for 8th. And just behind them is the 00, Danny Ware nursing that very damaged truck up inside the top 10.
Yeah, so remember how we were talking about at the top of the show that didn't really have to worry about green flag pit stops, not having to practice coming down pit lane? Yeah, we might actually have to see that. In which case, I hope these guys did practice a little bit.
I don't even know how you get on a pit lane here, to be honest.
It's really awkward. It's very easy to mess up because you have to make, on the back straightaway, you have to make a tight turn. Down in off the 3, you'll see it right there. Nope, there's the access road. So if you're not careful, you haven't planned for it.
Oh, Roderick in the wall. Danny Ware gets into the back of him, turns down underneath. 2 trucks come together there out of turn 4.
You're starting to see more and more drivers end up in the wall now as the run goes on. Tires wearing out, patience wearing out.
This is one of those moments when if you're running mid-pack and you need to have a good night, thinking like Ryan Swan or Ryan Hartz, you have a little bit of a panic now because, without the yellow flags to kind of equalize the field, this race all of a sudden gets a lot less predictable. And with that, a lot less opportunities to advance. So you're stuck kind of where you are unless you have a massively big pace advantage, which is only going to come from putting tires on the truck, which will probably happen here around the halfway point, which is in about 10 laps.
Yeah, I was going to say, probably good. I expect to see a lot of these guys around halfway come down into the pits. Start to see them slowly trickle down. To see who's going to try to stay out a little bit more, because again, these guys have a lot of fuel to work with, so we could see them go quite a bit past the halfway point and try to do an overcut. Hope for a caution to come out. I'm sure there's going to be some people that try to just kind of hope and bet on that, especially the guys outside the playoffs.
So out front, Travis Beckner leads the way here at lap number 67. He's led 55 of 66 laps. Jordan Hurley has led a couple. He runs in second place and is actually running down Beckner just a touch. Last time by was a hair quicker. Well, actually a little hair slower. The previous lap he was quicker. Now he's in some traffic. David Wise starts right behind, running a little slower. Then Bell and Wineland finish out the rest of the top 5 for Eric Wineland. This race is going great.
I was going to say, he's going great, and could be even better, too, because he's catching up to Matthew Bell in the 9th. So this is one of the best runs actually I think we've seen Wineland have all season, actually. I want to kind of take a look and find how his last few results have gone, because this is a surprisingly good performance, where exactly when he needed to have a good performance. Yeah, and actually he has not had a single top 5 all season.
Interesting.
And actually he's... Interestingly, so he's had 5 top 10 finishes, 4 of which were in 8th place, the other one in 7th.
Oh man, here's a big battle for 8th place. Brad Slaughter Jr., Roderick, and they've dragged in Ware and Grant into this mix. Garrett Grant back up to 11th after a couple issues for other drivers. Here he comes to the bottom, and he's got 3 positions ahead of him that he could use. And what a night it would be for Grant to get a top 10 when it looked like it was going to be such a struggle tonight for him. This is a great run already, and he could improve it some more.
Yeah, definitely a truck that had a lot of long run pace. He's starting to catch a lot of guys that are falling off. Brad Slaughter is about to get put potentially back in 11th if all 3 guys behind him get past, and it's looking increasingly that might be the case because they're all stacked up in a train behind him. Roger trying to find some sort of way around the 8 trying to make his truck as wide as humanly possible around here.
And the 56 looking to the bottom but tucks right back in line. And Grant looking a lane higher. Kyle Sieg falling to 12th on this run. Tyler Hallman down a lap. And this is another driver that has had a little bit of a, well, I guess I was going to say fall from grace, but he's actually exactly where he started, just track position-wise or track distance-wise, not on the right lap.
He was definitely one of those guys that had a much better short run pace, jumped up early, I think the round to 9th, and then kind of slowly trickled back to, like you mentioned, where he started. Looking at this great battle for 8th place here. Roderick still trying to find some sort of way around Danny Ware, and then Garrett Grant. Also waiting in the rings. I see Roderick catch the wall. Ware having to take some evasive action. Now Roderick trying to block Ware from making any sort of attack due to the misfortune that he had into the wall.
Yeah, Roderick's done that a couple times tonight where he's just overcooked 3 a little bit, bounced off the fence, and then Danny Ware to jump on the binders to miss him. And even Slaughter real tight out of turn 2, losing some ground here.
Yeah, he's just trying to block as many lanes as possible. Roderick's still yet to find any sort of solution here. I'm curious when we see Danny Ware or Grant make a move in behind, trying to make a dive on the 56 to have a crack at the 8.
Closest battle on the racetrack is this battle for 8th spot. And here's a lunge into turn 3 for the 56. Alongside him, and he's going to clear him actually out of turn 4. Nicely done.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like Slaughter just kind of let him go on by. I think just does not have anything to compete with at the moment. Knows that he's struggling.
Hit halfway here, lap 75 of 150 in the area truck series. Travis Beckner has
Slaughter almost hit the wall off of the corner. There you see now Bell and Wineland battling for position. Talked about Wineland closing up here, trying to get 4th away from the 9 machine.
Bell right up against the wall.
In Wineland, the wall, actually.
Yeah. Wineland to the bottom. He's got really good long run pace. Bell a little too close again to the outside fence. And Wineland should have this done down here at turn 1 and 2.
He's making another solid dive, although Bell, again, he's the reason he's running up against the wall. It's arguably the fastest way around when you're in a battle like this, but just can't quite have anything for the 21 who will clear him off turn 2.
We're past halfway at this stage for the area truck series.
Up and Slaughter down on pit lane.
All right, so Brad Slaughter Jr. going to be the first of the ones to crack here. And while we got pit stop sequences kicking off here, got a couple SimWrap Market replays tonight. Fans, be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Tyler Hallman, it's pit lane now.
Hallman's hit pit lane, Kyle Sieg's hit pit lane. This is not surprising. All 3 of these guys we've seen throughout this run have struggled with tire wear. They've been falling like a cliff. at some point, so they're going to be not surprised to see them be the first ones to bite, get some fresh rubber on the car, and get back out there and try to make up some time. Now, I'm curious to see how many people are going to react to this, because I feel like you kind of almost have to react to this if you're battling these trucks for position.
Yeah, Kyle Sieg on pit lane now also. Travis Beckner leads by 3 seconds. He's grown his advantage over Hurley the last couple of laps. David Weishart runs third. So of the top 3, we'll see who are actually really of the top 5, who's the first to crack there. But I imagine Beckner and Hurley, they're just going to run until they don't want to run anymore. I don't think there's really any advantage to them short pitting here.
No, they got a decent enough gap to their fellow competitors. I think they should be able to go on. Josh Taylor now coming in the 57. You can see on your screen, one of the first of the front runners to come in from 6th place.
Anybody else from the front? Nope, Weishart stays out that time through. No takers from the front 5 just yet. And these laps are going to click away really quickly here. We're working lap 82 of 150, assuming we go green, about 25 minutes worth of racing left. That's how fast this night has gone without the presence of caution flags.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything now, but like I'm genuinely amazed that we've only had 1 caution here at IRP.
Yeah, the Lodge Box cars, that was a struggle that night. But here I think the setup's a little bit more in line with what the drivers like. And I think now the only thing that's really going to put us at risk is different strategies.
Well, caution.
And there you go. Who was it? Kyle Sieg.
Kyle Sieg, yep.
Wonder if this was self-spin here. Looks like it. Just throttled up out of turn 4, and he had just come to pit lane. He was on fresh tire. Oh, he snags the 55 of Jeff Noe, who had nowhere to go. But both those drivers had just come to pit lane.
Bad back for the Fords. Those 2 Fords, 2 of the 3 Fords in this field involved there.
Not much you can do here. That'll probably knock the rear end of that thing too.
I'm sure Ryan Hart's had a heart attack there. That could have been him involved.
And where is Ryan Hart's? Well, he is still 1 lap down, but not the free pass truck. So the good news for Ryan Hart's is this could set, is he?
No, because Colin Farmer was in pit lane.
So he's going to be on the lead lap.
Yeah, got very lucky there.
Travis Beckner on pit lane now. This is going to reshuffle things just a little bit, I think.
Oh, a lot of it, I think. I think a lot of it. That came in as quite a few. I actually wanted to see who was coming down pit lane when that came out, because there were a few front runners I could have sworn I saw come down to pit lane when that did come out. I know Fambro, Weishart, and Hurley were down on pit lane when the caution occurred.
So we'll reshuffle things for you here in a moment. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings.
This is interesting. Hurley and Weiser both elected to come down pit lane after they were effectively in the lead.
Yeah, that's interesting. There are only 11 cars scored on or trucks scored on the lead lap right now, which means that if you were to pit, it's not going to hurt you a whole lot.
But, I know, but I would rather stay. I would rather stay up in the front, especially because we always talk about green cautions. I feel like we're at that time. We're in the later half of the race. Things might get a little bit squirrely, so I would kind of want to stay near the front of the field if I can. Yeah, how about Derek Wineland up into 2nd place?
Yeah, Eric Wineland's crushing it tonight and digging himself out of a points hole. If he could finish up here, he'd be elated, I'm sure. And let's have another reminder of the point standings. Another driver that could benefit, Matthew Bell. And I know he's 6th in the standings, but he's not that far away from the cut line, only 8 points. So running 4th right now is pretty good for him. But drivers that are going to have issues in the points, Anna Sogak is out there, but 83 laps down. He's a playoff competitor. Of course, we're missing the 67 and the 7. And then Ryan Swan running 14.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a few guys in a hole going into next week, and it's going to be a deep hole to try to dig themselves out of. Guys like Scioli, Hernan, and Sogak. It's going to be interesting seeing what they're going to do, how desperate they're going to be going into next week, after 2 of them having to miss this week, and of course Anna Sogak struggling early on.
So a lot of wave rounds here, and we're going to get cycled back up with Travis Beckner, Eric Wineland, Roderick Bell, and Danny Ware, the rest of your top 5.
We only have, let's see, we only have 18 guys rolling out on the track still.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of caution flags, you know, I guess the sky is always the limit, but you tend to, some about 25 or more at tracks like this tend to really scale things up a lot.
Well, got to watch the restart here. We already saw one driver being penalized on the only restart we had. Got to make sure Beckner doesn't shoot the gun here.
Here we go. Beckner in command this time, waiting to cross that stripe. There it is. Green flag back in the air for the Area Truck Series from IRP. And Beckner left everybody in the dust that time. He waited a little longer. Look at the 5 underneath the 00. Big gain there for Jordan Hurley.
Got to make some moves early on. It's going to cost him, though. Not able to carry the momentum on the exit. He's going to get passed by Danny Worley back in 8th.
Matthew Bell up 1 spot here. Garrett Grant runs 4th. What a night this would be if he could steal a top 5 out of this. Matthew Bell to the outside of Wineland now, as there's a battle side by side with the 18 truck involved, who is right now the first driver 1 lap down.
Garrett Grant got very loose off the corner, and Bell in the wall off of turn 2.
Yeah, Bell hit it pretty hard. He crinkled up the right front corner of the truck that time. Roderick slow. Here comes Weishart, turned down at the bottom of the track, trying to gain some spots back after pitting under that caution twice.
Still fighting for a position here. Now Grant held up by Roderick held up by Grant as Weiser now makes a move on Roderick. Go up into 5th place for the 33.
You can almost sense the desperation now with the lack of caution flags that kind of people know this race is going to go green most of the way to the end. This is your opportunity to grab positions here. Look at Weishart on Garrett Grant. This is closing up.
And a big dive from the 33 machine, taking advantage of the tires, the fresh tires he just got from pit road. Up into 4th now.
Roderick again slow mid-corner. Jordan Hurley right to the rear bumper in 3 and 4.
Yeah, Hurley actually almost spun out trying to slow down, almost went packed into the 56 in turn 3.
Danny Ware kind of in the middle of some lap traffic there. Swan and Fambro that he's splitting the difference. They're a lap down to the leader. And man, I'll tell you what, I bet you that 18 is just hoping and praying for a caution flag. Get him back on the lead lap, because once you're on the lead lap, you're almost in the top 10 already.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate timing for him, just being caught in a lap down in that entire sequence. As Ware hits the wall in turn 1. Not sure what happened there, but Ryan Swan now is inside.
I think he just got in the corner a little bit too hot. Overcooked it and ended up scraping the right side wall, as you see Swan, as you mentioned. And there's Ryan Hartz.
Yep. Just about to mention him making his way on through, back in the top 10 for the first time since lap 7. Or not since lap 7, but around since lap 10. After he had a pit after the black flag from jumping the restart, has now finally had a chance to recover from that.
Got to get by the 00 next, put him up into 8th place, and then he's got 7th place Jordan Hurley. Oh, that was tight out of turn 4. Almost contact there. Was there contact with the 19?
Just a little bit, but not enough to wreck the 2. But Swan will yield to the Hearts. No exchange for position as Swan is a lap down.
55 laps to go, and they're going by quickly. 20 minutes left in this race if we go green to the end. Travis Beckner leads. He has been absolutely dominant. No one's even come close to the speed of the 28 since that 3 car got uprooted.
I was just about to say he's expanded that lead pretty significantly. 2 seconds clear back to Eric Wineland, who's leading over Bell, Weishart, and Grant, your top 5. Actually, Weishart catching up to Matthew Bell.
Travis Beckner has 2 wins on the season, and those wins came back at Bristol and at Gateway. Weishart scrapes the wall out of turn 2, but sets his sights on Matthew Bell. Garrett Grant hit the wall heading into turn 3.
Yeah, but bit surprised to see some guys hitting it on entry. I guess they're just trying to widen the corner a little bit too much.
Reinhardt's still stuck behind Danny Ware.
Yeah,
Crossover here.
Yeah, this battle is for position here, so Ware's going to put up a bit of a fight here. Not sure how much you can hold Hartz out. I'm curious to see what happens when Hartz gets back to the front. Again, was leading this race earlier on, so has the pace to do so, but needs to get through traffic first.
Oh, background, Brad Slaughter Jr. almost got together with the 57. And battling with Tyler Hallman here, who is not on the lead lap. Oh, more contact out of turn 2 with the 8 and the 57. And a Sogak out there, 83 laps down.
It's been a pretty mediocre run for the number 8 so far. Started well up the order and then slowly drifted on back and is now really struggling to find his footing here on this restart.
Yeah, knocked in the right front corner a few too many times, I think. Allman bouncing off the fence. Garrett Grant inside the top 5, but has 2 drivers that very much want to remove him from it.
Yeah, trying to do his best, and I'm really curious to see this. Keeping an eye on this 46 over the long-term run. I think if we go green to the end, he'll definitely start to show a little bit more pace on picking off a lot of guys that burnt their stuff up early on, dropping back. So it has a long run pace, but Roderick and Hurley putting that pressure earlier on in this run now, trying to get by, especially number 5.
Other battles have sort of fizzled. This one, though, getting a little warmer. David Weishart chasing Matthew Bell still. This one's back on. And Eric Wineland just trying to salvage this second place. If he could hang on to P2, he would eliminate a lot of the concerns that he had coming into the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, this will be a fantastic night for him. Highest finish this season by 5 places. If he can hold on to second place, which I'm sure he's desperate to hold on to, because it can eliminate a lot of worries going on to next week, as you mentioned.
And look at this, 5 in the 56. Been a little bit nose to tail heavy there off into turn 3. A lot of accordion effect happening here. A couple laps after the restart, the battle's kind of re-engaging. 33 and the 9 especially.
I think a lot of guys just waiting for the competitors to start to wear out their stuff a little bit more. Those who saved a little bit now have the chance to attack, like Weishart on Bell at the moment. Trying to get a decent run off the corner. Bell a little bit wide, almost into the wall. Here comes Weishart now to the inside of turn 1.
Side by side for third place. Weishart noses ahead. Bell trying to throttle back up and hang tight on the outside.
Still side by side into turn 3. Bell almost scraping the wall. He's been running so close to the wall all night. Weishart trying to manage that bottom lane. Might be able to clear, will clear off of turn 4.
Yeah, that bottom lane has been a lot more useful tonight than it was in the launch box race a couple of months ago. So that is something the drivers have learned, is they can, it takes a little bit of persistence and a lap or two to complete, but that bottom lane is a very valid place to make passes, and perhaps, I must say, it's been the most popular place tonight.
That was while we were watching that. Jordan Hurley's gone around the 56 of AJ Roderick's, now setting his sights on Garrett Grant in 5th place.
So Grant trying to hang on to a top 5. Wineland trying to hang on to a second. Weishart is closing that gap pretty quickly. And we are closing in on 40 laps to go. And at 3 laps a minute nearly, they're going away very, very quickly. Travis Beckner, though, has set sail. He is almost 4 seconds clear of Wineland.
Yeah, not too terribly surprised. His 28 is just really hooked up. No one really can compete with him at the moment. I would say arguably maybe his teammate, the number 3 of Hearts, who's still stuck back in traffic, working his way up from 8th.
Jordan Hurley on Garrett Grant. Hurley's been having some internet-related issues tonight, but hasn't slowed him down. Garrett Grant trying to cling to a top 5.
Yeah, actually just clipped the wall a little bit into turn 1. Hurley now looking low. Off of turn 2, can't quite get there, but really starting to mount the pressure.
Out of turn 4. That bottom lane, again, watch that 5, just gets a half a lane underneath him. Is he going to root him up out of the groove or try to go by him without contact here?
I think he's going to want to try to move him without contact first. I don't think you really want to make enemies at this point of the run, especially so close to the end. And with a lot to lose for the 5, right? Because, actually, sorry, a lot to lose for the 5 and for the 46 because they're both playoff drivers.
This is the best battle on the racetrack right now, other than 14th place Carter Koop and Tyler Hallman going at it. Eric Wineland's advantage over David Weishart has come down even more, 7/10 between those two. And I'm sure we'll see that battle before this race is over.
Grant's been making you a little bit worried. That exit off the wall, a little bit close to the wall every single lap. Hurley looking a lot smoother off the corner because he's been cutting it down low on the exit. Up there he goes, diving into turn 3 to the inside.
It's got a little bit of overlap. And we've seen it take 2, 3, sometimes 4 laps to complete the pass. Not fully alongside enough yet, though. But he is chipping away at the advantage on the 46. Going to turn underneath him here on corner exit at turn 2, but nope, has to back off the throttle and stay in behind.
He really looks like he's just about to turn him here if he's not careful.
Oh, he's at the fence a little bit too much. Kind of jumped that marbles cushion and got up in the wall. It'll only be a temporary slowdown, but it'll take him out for a lap or 2 and give Grant a second to breathe.
Yeah, that could have been disastrous. Last thing you do is you need to get some significant wall contact now, damage the car after you've been managing it so well throughout the rest of the run here. Just about 35 laps to go now.
For second place, Wineland with pressure from David Weishart.
Clipping on the wall from Wineland, trying to just get a little bit better run through the corner. I think he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure from now Weishart closing the gap. Decent gap back to Matthew Bell, who's falling further into the clutches of Grant. I think that's actually because the 9's got some decent damage to his right front.
Yeah, 9 has hit the wall a couple of times tonight. Has damaged his stuff. Carter Koop and Tyler Hallman battling for a spot. This is a lap down in 14th place, but a battle nonetheless. But a couple are getting even closer than this, including that battle for second.
Yeah, Weishart's effectively there. I'm curious to see what what Wineland's going to do. If he's going to fight the 33 for this, or maybe just let him go on by and just try to hold in the third.
I'd be interested to see if he went on the bottom, if he was able to hang on, because we've seen the bottom be the place to pass. And if you stay down there and force someone to go around the outside, will they be able to use the outside to the same efficacy that they've used it in the Launchbox Series and other races in the past?
Well, I'm riding on board with Wineland as he's on that inside lane. He's having to do a lot of counter steering on exit to keep the truck going straight. A lot of cranking it to the right a little bit on exit because he's getting loose. Forcing it down there. Weishart has that outside lane open, but even he's trying to dive down low on the exit.
Still a big number of laps left, though, so how long do you think he could prolong this? Is it inevitable for Wineland to get past, or can he burn Weishart's stuff up, making him try to go around him?
Oh, I think it's definitely inevitable, so you want to be careful not to make a mess of your stuff too early on here and burn up your stuff too early on.
Weishart started in row 5, or Wineland's, I should say. David Weishart started in row 3. Both these drivers have had a pickup this evening.
Oh, and actually didn't cover something. Garrett Grant slipped back to 7th place. Got clipped by Jordan Hurley on the exit of turn 2 a couple laps ago. Not the 46 into the wall.
Yeah, I saw him drop down the order there, but wasn't sure if there was contact or not. Looks like there was. He will drop to P7, as you mentioned, just behind. There's Ryan Hartz. And one man's wall scrape is another man's treasure.
I think that's how the saying goes.
Yeah. That's how I've always said it anyway.
But this is Hartz just trying to make the best out of a bad night. And again, that early mistake cost him quite a bit. From potentially being a race winner, being back in 8th. Look back at Wineland and Weishart's duel for second place.
This is getting really good here as we close down to the final 25 laps or so. Weishart has gotten here and stalled here. So that gives Wineland maybe a little bit of hope that he can keep the 33 behind him.
And looking behind them, these two guys battle for 4th place. Matthew Bell, Jordan Hurley, that battle's heating up.
This one's actually even closer. Lap traffic ahead.
Hurley's been making some decent dives to the inside of the corner while Bell's been riding up against the wall. And still struggling from internet issues.
And lap traffic here for the 9. Tracking out. Bobby Tinch will pull over, let them on by. And
there's Hurley
with
the dive.
Yep. And Bell, I don't think we'll be able to do much about this on the outside. We have not seen that be the power move that it was previously or in other series. So give Jordan Hurley 5th place back.
So Hurley now up into fourth, can try to chase down Weishart and Wineland. Speaking of which, they're now side by side. Weishart trying to gas it up in the corner to get to that outside lane. He's going to almost meet the wall, just keeps it off.
So here's our experiment, right? Wineland, almost like he's listening to us, takes the bottom lane, which has been the preferred line to pass. Weishart now going to cross him over on exit, try to get the overlap. He's going to get there. No, he tucks back in line. So I think if you can hold the bottom here, Finney, you might be able to defend this.
Yeah, you might here, although I think Weishart, he's looking like he might be able to go in both lanes, and I think he's just trying to catch Wineland napping at either point in time, trying to make that move. Wineland is trying to do the best he can, looking in the mirror driving here for these last 20 laps.
This is one of those races that is the longest race ever for Eric Wineland right now and the shortest race ever for David Weishart. Man, 20 laps is so long. Oh, man, I need more than 20 laps.
Yeah, but there's times when he's been doing good and actually pulling away from the 33 for a second before Weishart starts to close back in.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a super consistent gain or loss by anybody right now. They're just kind of locked in lockstep. But about a half a car truck length between them. I need to spray myself with water every time I say car on Tuesdays.
And I've said it a few times tonight as well.
Car. At the end of the day.
You know what's one thing I've always been surprised that there's not been like some kind of, it'd be really weird and hard to implement, but some kind of like small compact SUV series considering how popular they are.
We're getting there, I think. Wasn't there talk of making the Xfinity series that?
I heard a rumor about that.
Or the new EV series would be that, which I think
the EV
makes more sense personally. But I thought it was the best when the Xfinity series was like the pony car series.
Yes.
And the Cup series was the sedans, the way that it was always been. But now Ford doesn't make sedans, so.
Oh, Wineland hitting the wall in turn 3. Still manages to keep out of the 33 though, but he's starting to hit that wall a little bit more often.
Yeah, he's just praying that Travis Beckner can get to the end because he's working really hard right now to keep David Weishart behind him, and this battle is getting spicy as it's been. As we get closer to the end of this race, let's get one more thank you in before we have to cover the tail end of this. Fans, be sure to check out the areiaracing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from the selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. And man, David Weishart is just all over Wineland right now, filling the mirror. But Wineland has not made a big enough mistake for the 33 to capitalize on.
No, he's doing a fantastic job. Just trying to deal with the 33 of Weishart because Weishart basically came to a roadblock, and we've seen that it's not possible to pass. Wineland's doing a really good job of defending, and I think if he can keep this up, the longer this run goes on, Weishart's just going to have just really not enough tire to make any more moves because he's been driving really aggressively behind the 21.
Ryan Hart's up to 8th place. All came back to one momentary jump at lap number 7. And he's still fighting back from that, right now running in 8th place.
Yeah, one driver having more misfortune than you can argue the 3 has been having tonight is Brad Slaughter, as he's just been put a lap down by Travis Beckner. Well, we're trying to be put down by Travis Beckner as they almost make contact out of turn 4.
Weishart tries the way down bottom in 3 and 4. Not enough.
I'm curious now if you're Weishart, what do you do to try to get around the 21?
I mean, it depends on how desperate you are. Championship battles? You know, do you want to use the bumper now and establish that as the relationship going forward? Or do you want to try to race it out and finish 3rd and deal with that point next week?
Well, the thing is, I think both of these guys are, you know, a little bit more content. I'm sure Weishart's definitely not going to be the one to try to spin Eric out.
And Eric's
not that type of guy.
And Eric's not desperate right now either. I mean,
no.
he's had a good night. He's going to get some good points out of this. Although David Weishart probably doesn't see Eric as a threat just yet, looking at where the 21 is in the point standings. Not a driver that I would be particularly concerned about, beating me in the championship. This is a short-term gain, long-term loss here to engage in a battle with him that ends in tears for anybody.
Oh, he's been making some. He has been making some decent dives where he can, though.
He's trying.
He has not given up.
And I like this arc down and try to throttle up on the bottom on exit. That's working pretty well. He just needs the 21 to make a mistake, and Eric has made a few, but not large enough in magnitude that Weishart was able to take immediate advantage of them.
Laps winding down here, just over 10 to go here at IRP. Beckner out, really haven't even talked about him that much because he's out, almost 7 seconds ahead of these guys.
This is the, on the grid life side, the Tom O'Gorman effect. If you're winning by so much, you're not going to get covered. It's not because we don't like you, just because you're crushing it tonight.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing with a lot of broadcasts. I know they do it because, sponsor obligations and stuff, but I feel like a lot of times in the actual broadcast, they just keep an eye on the guy leading by like 10, 15 seconds. Has no competition, just kind of going around. Yeah, exactly.
I think NASCAR on road courses has gotten exceedingly bad at that lately. Watching leaders parade around like, I don't care if the battle's for 30 seconds. Show me the battle.
Yeah, because it makes it look a lot more boring than it is.
Yeah. Well, Travis Beckner has had a pretty boring night, and that's a good thing in his book. Of the 141 laps that we have completed, he has led 130 of them. And is just sprinting away, 7 seconds clear of the next closest car.
Yeah, Wineland and Weiss are now going through some lap traffic. Ryan Spa move out of the way. They got 2 more guys ahead of them. Probably will catch them before it's over. And Soyak and Holman.
We are much closer to the end of this race than the lap counter would make you think. About 3 minutes from now, we'll be declaring a winner, even less than that.
And we'll be absolutely surprised of who the winner is going to be.
Well, we got to get to that white flag. That's the all-important number. I know we haven't really been flirting with a whole lot of yellows tonight, but keep that in mind that if we get a green white checker, that will change everything.
Yeah, someone's arm is itchy.
6 laps to go. And Weishart has not been able to put any more pressure on Eric Wineland than he had put on any particular point. So Eric's in a pretty good spot. Just don't make any mistakes. He'll come home in second after starting mid-pack.
I think Weishart's kind of giving up a little bit here. He's really struggling out of some of these corners and looks like he's about to wreck, just trying to keep up with the 21 at this point. And I think he's kind of run out of steam here in these closing laps.
Again, 1 point isn't going to be the difference between, well, it could be, but I shouldn't say that.
I doubt it in Weishart's case.
It won't be the issue moving forward from round to round, that's for sure. Travis Beckner now picks up 4 laps to go, and he's extended his lead to nearly 8 seconds. And no other battles on the racetrack at the moment, but the Area Truck Series playoffs started at a short track. They will end at Nashville, and in between is where we eliminate from 12 to 8 to 4. And Travis Beckner is going to not only put himself in a great position for the future rounds, but he is also going to automatically advance himself into round 2, the round of 8.
Yeah, and I didn't really consider Beckner potentially a championship competitor. I think he definitely had a really solid truck underneath him throughout the season, but starting to show some decent prowess here in these later races, and a few laps now away from a win.
Well, he's got 2 wins on the season, and with this win, he would tie for the most this season, which David Weishart has. Arts Scioli also have 2 wins. And Matthew Bell has 1 to his name. So does Cody Cutrer, who already documented. But Travis Beckner picks up the white flag and rolls up onto the back straightaway. Perhaps his best competitor in the race got a penalty on lap number 10 for jumping a restart. He wasn't able to recover, but Travis Beckner picked up the pieces and drove away. Travis Beckner wins at Indianapolis Raceway Park, his 3rd win of 2023, and Eric Wineland hangs on tight for a 2nd place and will dig himself out of a pretty deep hole in the points and put himself in a great position to advance next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, that was exactly the night he needed to have. So really solid points day for the 21 machine. I'm sure you I mean, really can't do much better than arguably than winning the race, but I don't think that was a concern for him. It was just a matter of getting to the finish line in one piece in a solid place. That's exactly what he did as Beckner slows in the back straightaway, getting ready to burn it down.
Yeah, celebrating now for the number 28. He absolutely dominated this one. It wasn't even really close. 8 seconds of an advantage. He's going to do a little sideways drift action here through turn number 4. Little lateral slide across the front straightaway and burning it down is Travis Beckner. The Rick's Hot Sauce Chevrolet goes to victory lane for the 3rd time this season, this time in dominant fashion at IRP. Let's have a look at our race results here, Finian, and top of the board, we documented Travis Beckner with his 3rd win on the season, but Eric Wineland and David Weishart come home 2nd and 3rd in the field. Not a bad night, I'd say, for those two. And then look at the top 10. 7 of those positions are playoff competitors, as you'd expect. But Ryan Hart's only 9th, dropped a spot there in the closing moments.
Yeah, no, he ended up getting passed back by Danny O'Hara. Not the best of nights for the number 3, but not a terrible night all around. Garrett Grant, one driver I don't have to mention, finishing in 7th place. Could have probably been better, but will surely get him out of the cutoff, being below the cutoff line in 10th, so he's going to be happy with that. Brad Slaughter, it was generally surprising with his pace. He looked like he had a solid top 5 truck, but dropped it back to 11th. Actually finished, I think, just about, actually did finish a lap down.
Colin Fambro, Tyler Hallman, Ryan Swan, Carter Koop, the rest of you are top 15. And then some drivers that had some not so great nights, Justin Anasogak, Ryan Swan, and thankfully no one else in the playoffs down below 20th spot. But we do have our 3rd place finisher with us here. David Weishart comes home in P3, the number 33. David tried to chase down Eric Wineland there, had a great fight with him, but weren't quite able to eclipse him. Take us through that run to the end there and the battles you had all night.
Yeah, the race started off pretty calm. It went green a lot more than I thought it was going to, and we were joking around the whole race that if it went green enough to get a green flag pit stop, that's when the yellow would come out, and it did. I know there were a few guys that got their pit stop in without the yellow, but it actually kind of hurt them. So we kind of caught a semi-lucky break, I guess you could say, that I hadn't stopped in my box yet when the caution came out. I was literally rolling into my box, and I just kept going. So I lost a little bit of track position. I had to burn the right front off a little bit to kind of get up through everybody. And I got to Eric there. I feel like I was a little quicker early when we were battling. And he hit the wall or something. And I got to run to his outside. He was running me high like he was supposed to kind of arc me out, because you got to diamond it the corners here, and I just burnt the right front off from that point on. He could rotate the center just that little bit better than me and get back on the gas early. So that was fun battling with him though. And yeah, unfortunate what happened to Ryan there. He probably had the best truck. I mean, I know Beckner pulled away there at the end, but Hartz is probably the quickest driver here tonight. But I'm just lucky that I come home with no incidents and 3rd place finish, and we'll take it on to Vegas.
All right, David Weishart, P3 here tonight at IRP. David, congratulations. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Eric Wineland hangs on to 2nd place, not only gets his best finish of the season, but does it at a critical time in the playoffs. You came into the night last in the playoff picture, below the cut line for the round of 8. Tonight, you finish in 2nd, holding off the driver with the most wins this season to come home inside the top 5, Eric. You dug yourself out of a pretty deep hole tonight. That has to feel awesome.
Yeah, Kyle, it's big time. I mean, man, the nickname Lucky We Are paid off a lot, because lucky I was tonight. We were able to capitalize on the misfortunes of, I don't know what the heck happened with the restart zone with Ryan Hartz. I have yet to go back and see a replay on that one, but, and then the yellow coming out right in the middle of the pit cycle that David and Jordan were starting. And, I wasn't even caught up to the pace truck when I made my pit stop under yellow there. And I thought I was going to roll out, still in 5th, but, we were able to roll out 2nd, and I've not had that much fun, but I've not worked that hard either for a 2nd place. The way I was battling David there, he caught me so fast, but watching him in the mirror, I was able to pick up on a couple cues of what he was doing to be able to defend from it. And even though I decided to smack the wall with 30 to go, I luckily it happened earlier rather than later in the race. I was able to adjust with the damage and still be able to hold him off, and that was a fun battle.
Well, it puts you in a really good spot. And talk to us about that late race battle there with David Weishart, because it was really fun to watch. And we saw him kind of burning up his stuff. How hard were you pushing to keep that 33 behind? And did you notice that the bottom lane seemed to be the best place to pass? And was that why you were covering that inside lane?
Absolutely, on the bottom lane bit. I'll get to that in a moment. But I watched them come up in the mirror. I actually was watching the relative from about 20 laps into the run. It's like, where are David Weishart and Jordan Hurley, because they were going to be stuck way back there. And then I saw David pop up, and I was like, okay, Jordan must still be behind. David got by, and David's coming fast. And I knew to pay attention. Once he got there, I was studying the mirror. I had one eye up in the mirror, one eye on the racetrack, trying to figure out what he was doing. I could see pretty quickly that he was beating me on corner exit. So I was able to adjust, run the diamond line a little bit better, like he was, and that gave me the corner exit speed I needed to hold him up. And then with 30 to go, I mean, I just pushed it a little too hard, trying to get on the gas, and decided to slam the wall out of 4. But luckily, even with a little bit of damage, I was able to adjust to it and still maintain that corner exit speed that we were able to hold David on. And I'd say about 40 laps into the race, I noticed the bottom came in pretty good, because I ran Brad Slaughter down, and then I ran Matthew Bell down before the yellow came out, around 80 laps there or whatever. And I knew the bottom was good. If I could get the left sides on that first seam, really help de-wedge the car and pivot it, we could really roll through the middle exit. And that's what we did tonight, Kyle.
Really well done, Eric. Second place tonight. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at Las Vegas, and rooting for you to get above that 8-driver cut line for round number 2. We'll see you there.
Alrighty, I appreciate it. Big thank you to Mardon PCs on the truck, and of course the guys here at Area that put this on. Lodgebox sponsoring the Xfinity Series. Of course, you guys will see on Thursday night. But a huge shout out to Mardon PCs. If you need a sim rig, go visit mardonpc.com.
All right, thanks, Eric. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, guys.
And Travis Beckner, third win on the season. This one in dominant fashion. Travis, you destroyed the field in this one, but it kind of started early because the driver that you would have been racing, the 3 truck, got himself a penalty there early. Take us through your thoughts on that, and then really for you, it was pretty uneventful from there on out.
Yeah. I feel bad for Ryan, because that would have been really fun battling with him there. I don't think he should have got a penalty there, but I guess they gave him one. And I'll tell you what, I felt like Jake Nichols in the Cup Series tonight around those ovals.
But it looked like it, Travis. You led almost all the laps tonight, and it didn't really seem to have struggle with lap traffic or restarts or anything. What was it about this track and truck combination that made you just so dominant here? 8 seconds, 8.2 seconds was the advantage. That's a third of a lap.
I don't know. Maybe something with the brake bias, because I was talking to a few of the drivers after the race was over. They were running their brake bias way higher than I was. I was running like 40%, and they were running in the 50s. It was slideways on entry. I don't know if y'all could tell, but it definitely worked out.
I'll say it worked out, Travis. You picked up your third win of the season. You'll automatically advance to the round of 8 as well, so congratulations. Now on to Las Vegas next week. We'll see you there.
Yeah, before I go, I'd like to thank Rick's Hot Sauce, everybody at JPR, Wax Electric, Lodgebox, Collier Cutters Landscaping of Southwest Florida, everybody at Miller Racing as well, and everybody that could get this done, my parents, my grandparents, y'all taking the time out of your day to do this, and everybody that came out to watch tonight. We wish we could get more people, but yeah, I'm hoping that'll come in some time.
Travis, congratulations. We'll see you next week at Las Vegas. See if you can get 2 for 2.
Thank you.
All right, Fanny, let's wrap things up here from IRP. Fun race tonight. Lots of green flag racing, which is always great to see. A couple of yellows to break up the action. But now, next week, we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And then Thursday, we return to road racing with the Lodgebox Series.
Yeah, no, really interesting seeing what's going to happen next week. You got big names like Cameron Herr and James Kelly. Obviously, they couldn't be here tonight due to the college series taking place, so they're taking part in that. So they got a bit of a hole to drag themselves out of. Obviously, both of those guys are very quick drivers, so we'll see what they can do next week at Vegas.
That's going to do it for us tonight here from IRP. Kyle Heyer alongside Finney and DeCuna. We'll see you again from Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Thursday night to go back to the road racing at the IMS Road Course. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you on Thursday with the Launchbox Series.